Howdy gang, this is the outside. Welcome to another video. It's been a little while between drinks while we've been preparing for Ultra-Trail Kosciuszko, which is finally sort of upon us. We're just enjoying a quick little shakeout run after a pretty lengthy drive. So we're currently running on the Thredbo Valley Trail, or the Thredbo River Trail, just out of Thredbo Village. So I've had a pretty significant build up to this race, which is, well, it's a week away from today. So we've come up in good time. A few injury issues and a few other bits and pieces that sort of got in the way of the preparation a little bit, but on the whole, we've prepared as well as we possibly can for something we've never undertaken before. So I guess you can only put yourself in the best known position to your body and your running capability. So as I suggested, Ultra-Trail Kosciuszko is a running festival by UTMB, which takes in some of the amazing snowy mountains and Mount Kosciuszko itself. There's running distances everywhere from 30 kilometers to 50k, there's 100k and the 100 miler, which is sort of the pinnacle event, I guess. But it was really cool to see that pretty much everything is sold out this year. So it's going to be a massive crowd, massive turnout. The events are over a number of days. And our event is the 100k race, which will commence on a Friday of the festival. So we've got a week up here to get used to things, become comfortable, which we've done before for the other races in previous years, and make sure we're 100% ready to go. Now with that in mind, describing myself as sort of a mid-pack or a front third, sort of an ultra runner, I thought we'd run through a few of the bits and pieces that we do when we've been up here before to ready ourselves for the race. And whilst the elites and sub-elite runners are right on top of this stuff because they do it all the time, I thought it might be nice to give you a bit of a sort of mid-packer's perspective of how you go about it. And in some respects, being in that category has its own challenges. You're generally out there for, you know, another 60, 70% or another 100% of the time that the elites will run it. So you've got to give consideration to lots of different things. So hopefully that might help somebody who's looking at maybe doing one of these races in the future and looking to stay up here in the beautiful snowy mountains. And we have been up to this event before, so do yourself a bit of a favour and check out. I'll put a link to last year's 50k video in the description, so check that out. And while you're there, feel free to subscribe. I know a lot of people are. It's really, really cool, given the fact it's a pretty new channel, so jump on, throw me a bit of support and I'll keep making them. But certainly appreciate everyone who's done that. It's really, really cool. Like I said, it's very new and I just enjoy making it, so to get something out of them, that's all I really care about. If it's something interesting to watch for you, then I'm wrapped with that. So enjoy it. Without a doubt, our favourite place to stay when we come up here is Jindabyne. It's a beautiful little town right on Lake Jindabyne itself. It provides pretty much everything you'd need from a runner's perspective in the lead up to a big event. Whether it be supermarkets, medical services, other supplies, it's pretty much got you covered. It's also the centre for the race expo, which is really, really handy. Race logistics are also made easy, with shuttle buses going from Jindabyne to the start and finish lines. So as far as a place to stay, in a central location, I think Jindabyne's pretty much got you covered. And the backdrop of the lake and the mountains, it ain't so bad either. Probably the second good option is Thredbo, because all the races finish there. So you've got all the finish line extravaganza and whatnot, and easy to access depending on what time your runners are coming in. But it is a little bit more limiting with accommodation. One good thing it has going for it though is there's trails everywhere to loosen up on. So it's a really cool little playground to stay at. I'll probably still favour Jindabyne though, just for the number of services. All the shuttles go to and from there, and your travel distances to start, finish, things like that, and not much more than half an hour to any point. So in my mind, it's a lot more useful. Coming up ahead of time is a real advantage because it gives you plenty of time to settle in to wherever you might be staying and work out the lay of the town, but also spend a bit of time on some of the trails that are part of the course, which is what we're doing today. So this section from Charlotte Pass, or pretty much up to Mount Kosciuszko itself, forms part of the 100k course. So just having a good walk and knowing where things are is really, really useful and a good way to stretch your legs out. You don't have to do all of your tapering prep work as runs. Walking can be just as beneficial. So because we've arrived a week ahead of the race time, it gives us plenty of time to do these sort of things and really relax into the week without feeling any pressure, which has certainly got to be a plus.
Now, when it comes to considering where to stay in Jindabyne, there are a myriad of options available to you, depending on what it is you want. For us, it's all about being self-contained. So we need somewhere where we can cook, clean, relax, and just spread out a little bit to enjoy our time here. We've actually stayed at the same place for a few years running now, and when you book really well in advance with a free cancellation, you can get a really, really good price. It's no mystery that a lot of places to stay in the Snowy Mountains are a little on the high side when it comes to price, but if you do think about it and plan ahead, you can get some really good deals. In addition to hotel and self-contained type options, there's also plenty of caravan parks, campgrounds, things like that. So when I think back to my younger days, I would have been more than happy to swag it or tent it or camp it somewhere in the lead up to something like this. These days, I'm in my mid-40s. I can't afford to do that anymore, and basically I need to give myself the best possible preparation before undertaking something like this, or I simply wouldn't be able to do it. So for us, being comfortable is a big part of it. So for you, it's really about what you want to get out of it, what kind of things you're going to need in the lead up to the race, proximity to services, supermarkets, things like that, and do you want to have a bit more comfort, or do you want to kind of rough it? And that is totally personal choice. The 48 hours in the lead into race day can be really, really hard to deal with because it seems to go for an eternity. And there's a lot of things you really do need to try and do right. Rest is absolutely critical. And for mine, I'm trying to do as much resting as I can. I'm in that period now, right before the race. So I've got to try and savor as much energy as I possibly can in the lead up. What helps with that energy build is a carb load. Now, when people talk about carb loading, historically you'd think about a massive pasta meal the night before a triathlon or a run or a marathon or something like that. Things have changed quite a lot over time. Now, some people will approach it as a whole week prior to an event. Some people 48 hours like I've done, or some people 24 hours. Some people like to burst it out to 3 to 4 days. It is totally dependent on exactly what you want and your needs, and potentially the professional advice you're getting. Now, I won't get into crazy detail because everybody is super different, but for mine, it's about maintaining a really good quality diet and just adding in some carb extras throughout the day to get me to what I have as a target carbohydrate level for that 48-hour period prior to the run. And without going into super detail, some of the things that help get me there are things like potatoes, added rice in my meals. Fruit toast is an absolute beauty a couple of times a day, smothered in jam. Now, those basic things can help just elevate that carbohydrate level to build a little bit as I'm resting into that 48-hour period before the race. I'm very fortunate to be working with a really top quality dietitian who has helped me formulate my overall diet strategy plus my carb loading leading into the event, which is really, really helpful. If you ever get the chance, it's really helpful to go through that process just to see where you're at with your eating. You might be 100% totally fine. It might just help you fine tune that 1, 2 to 5% to get the best out of your diet generally, and then you can start tweaking it as you lead into events. Rest is definitely the key in the last 48 hours. I feel like my sleep's been really, really good in the approach, and you might feel that too, but others might feel really anxious in the lead up to the race. So getting as much rest as you can through the day and good night's sleep is ideal. If your run starts early in the morning, maybe learning to get up at that hour when you're likely to get up and get some food in before your race time would start is a really, really good strategy. But that might incorporate also sleeping through the day or having some naps here and there just to rest as much as you can, depending on the distance you're going to run and the amount of energy you're going to need. Everyone's going to approach it differently though. Some people might have had some injury concerns coming through, so their activity level is going to be very, very different, and everyone will have a different opinion. And that leads me to my next comment around social media. There are some really awesome and supportive communities out there on social media, particularly around this event. Whether it be Facebook, whether it be Instagram, there are people out there supporting each other with questions, answers, and I guess the basic overview of what you might need to do to get through your race at this event. My personal experience with some of these groups has been absolutely amazing. It's just such a supportive community, whether you're dealing with ultra runners in person or whether you're dealing with them via social media platforms. But it is really, really important not to compare yourself with other runners too much. You are your own athlete and you will have your own concerns, injury niggles, or various approaches you want to bring into the event that are going to differ from everybody else, even if you're the same age, roughly the same pace, same gender, whatever it might be. You need to approach this as an individual. So don't pay too much close attention to what times other people might run, or how much training they've done in the lead up, what their volume was, or how they've approached the taper. You do you and you'll be totally fine. Taking tips from other people on those platforms is amazing. If you can pick up little bits here and there, that's great, particularly during your training. But maybe don't pick up too much new stuff 2 or 3 days out from the event. Now, every big running event, the mandatory gear requirements are always a hot topic of discussion. Now here I've got a 12-litre Salomon vest. Now I'm going to cram all of the requirements for a 100-kilometre race into that puppy. And a lot of people just wonder, how big a pack do I need to get it all in? Well, I'm going to show you. Now obviously part of that kit is my running poles. Now they're not mandatory, but I'm going to get them in too. But look at all that gear, including some of the portions that are required. That's a lot of stuff. But if you pack it all down and fold everything up appropriately, you'll see just how easily it does go in. Ziploc bags are really, really handy to try and crush things down as much as you can and get the air out of garments. My 4 flasks with a 2-litre capacity, obviously I haven't filled them up, but you get the idea. They'll go in the pouches in the front, and I'll probably fill 1 or 2 through the day to put in the back. So there you have it. Looks a little bit like a turtle, but everything's in there that I need, even with the mandatory wet and cold requirements. The race itself is going to be an amazing experience. But there are a couple of things you do need to remember just to make sure it is as amazing as you want it to be. The two in the front of my mind are not to get carried away with the crowd, particularly at the start of the race. You can end up charging out way too hard because you're having a wow of a time, and 5Ks in, you've almost run a 5K PB, and that's not going to end very well. So be really, really measured in your approach and have a running plan. Now, everyone's plans are going to be unique, but make sure you have formulated some sort of idea of exactly how you want to approach it. And really stick to that. That's all part of the mental discipline of long distance running. The key thing to remember though is to just enjoy the day. And particularly for middle-aged runners like myself, even just getting to the start line is probably the biggest thing, with injuries and other bits and pieces and the body not playing the game through your training block. So soak it up, enjoy the day, and just be part of the fun. Nutrition is a really important element too, and a lot of these runs have some really, really good gear at the aid stations that you can access, which are fantastic products, but it's really wise to try them ahead of time if you're going to rely on them. If you're not, make sure that you've tried and you're carrying things that you know are going to sit really well with you, regardless of the distance you're running. So that's just a mid-packer snapshot of a few of the elements you might want to consider if you are looking at a race like this in the future. Jindabyne, Thredbo and Perisher are amazing areas to visit any time of the year, whether you're into snow sports or whether you're into sort of summer activities. So I'd encourage everybody to get up here if you've never been here and have a bit of a look at it. If you're a runner, come and try one of these runs. They're absolutely fantastic. I've kept this pretty high level because there's a lot of information about the specific elements of tapering, training loads, nutrition leading into events like this. So I'll let you search that out if and when you need it. But if you're just looking for that high level snapshot of exactly what you might need to consider when you're coming to a race like this, I hope you found it here. Again, if you've enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe to the channel. A lot of people are doing that now and I'm really loving it. As I said earlier, it's a very, very new channel. And check out some of the other content. I'll be doing a bit of a full and thorough overview of the race as we go through for the 100k event. So keep an eye out for that one when I can get that one edited. If you are running this event and I manage to actually edit this and get it out, posted before we actually all hit the start line, hope you enjoy it. Keep an eye out for me out there. Look after everybody on the trails, and more importantly, keep running, stay happy, and I'll see you on the outside.